Hey guys, this is Michael here, and I'm one of the product managers here at Syncfusion. And I see through the development of the database controls like charts, maps, gauges, etc. Today, I'm going to talk about Syncfusion Calendar widget, and let's dive into the agenda of this webinar. So today, we are going to see how to create a Google Sheet with appointment data, and then we will connect that particular Google Sheet to Syncfusion Calendar and display those appointments in the calendar. And then we will also create a Firebase project and add those appointments to the Firestore database using Syncfusion Calendar. So now let's get started. Now we have to create a Google Sheet. So to create a Google Sheet, you need a Google account. And then let's go to this particular link, google.com/sheets. So there you go. Here you can see that you can create any number of sheets here. And I'm going to create a blank spreadsheet. To save time, I have already created a spreadsheet in the local so that I'm just going to copy paste this and I'm just pasting it here. So there you go. I have the spreadsheet with the appointment data. Like for example, here you could see I have an ID, I have a subject, I have a start time and end time of the appointment, and I have a location. So the subject stands for the appointment header, and the start time and end time stands for the appointment starting and end time. And also the location, you can set the location in the appointment calendar, I mean our Syncfusion calendar. So these are the fields that are required to generate a simple appointment in a calendar. So now let's see how we can actually connect this particular spreadsheet to Syncfusion Calendar. To do so, let's first name the spreadsheet. So I'm just naming it as Syncfusion Appointments. And then what I'm going to do is go to Tools and create a script editor. So click on the script editor. So as I said in the step 2, I have added all the data that I have in the Google spreadsheet. And now, as I said, I have opened the Google App Script and then I have to get the data. So I'm going to use the do get method that is in the app script and provide the spreadsheet app by the given ID. So let me show you how this can be done. So this is the default function, my function. Here I am going to change it with the do get method. So to save time, I already have that method with me. So let me copy paste here. As you can see here, we have the do get method. We have to provide the sheet. That is, we are opening the sheet using the by ID method. So in the ID, you have to provide the value. This value is nothing but the value that is provided after the sheets here. So you have to provide this value. So once it is provided, now what we have to do is we have to deploy this app script. So let me deploy this. So new deployment. So select the type as web app and you can provide description. Since you are deploying it as web app, you have to give permission to the specific Google account. So here I am executing as my own account. And if you want any other account, then you can provide user accessing the web app. So I'm just going with my account as of now. And as of now, I'm just going to provide it as uh, anyone but myself. But if you want to provide to anyone else, you can provide with anyone with Google account. So right now I'm just using only myself, and then I'm clicking deploy. It may take a while. So once it is deployed, you get the URL. So this is the deployment ID. You can copy it if you want, and this is the web app link. So you can copy this and you can use it in the application. So now let's start a simple Flutter application. So I'm just going to create a simple Flutter application. So I'm just going to select this folder and I'm just going to name this. So let me explain the do get method here. So as I said before, we are providing the sheet name by we are opening the sheet using the open by ID method and providing the ID here. Once we get the active sheet, we get the values. So these values are a collection. So I'm just iterating through these values and adding these each value as an appointment data by getting each row value using appointment data subject, start time, and end time. And then I'm pushing all these data into the so-called collection called appointment data. So the app is created now. So the next thing we have to do is we have to add the HTTP package, which is used to get these sheets. So I'm just going to add this in the dependencies. So I'm going to add Syncfusion Flutter Calendar and HTTP. So go to the pubspec YAML file and let me keep it as 2.12 and yeah. So I'm just going to save it. So the packages are downloaded. So the next thing we have to do is we have to get the data from the app script, and then we have to create a asynchronous method called get data from Google Sheet and get that particular data from the URL using http.get method. So this is the code that I have used and I've just explained here. So as you can see here, I have a get data from Google Sheet method, which is an asynchronous method, and then you have to add the URL which we have copied from the deployment, and then you have to add the URL here, and then you have to get these data using JSON decode. So you have all the data is available as a JSON data. So you have to decode this JSON data, and then you have to create a data source like as I have did here. I have a data source called meeting data, and I'm adding each data into it. So let me show this in real time. So to save time, I already added these codes here. So let me get that. So I have copy pasted it here. So this is the code that I was explaining before. So here it is, get data from Google Sheet method. So what I have done is I have passed the URL which we have deployed from the Google Sheets app script. So this is the app. So I have that particular link and I have given that here. And then these data will always be JSON, so we have to decode it. So I'm using it using convert.json decoder. And once I get these data, I have to iterate through these data. So I'm getting each data from this JSON app data into appointment data. So what I'm doing here is I'm just returning the appointment data to the Syncfusion calendar. So let me see what I have done here. So I have created a class called meeting where it has the event name, it has from, to, background, and also a property for is all day equal to true or false. So, and I'm giving each and every value here, like uh, I'm giving the event name as the data of subject, and I'm giving the from value as start time, and I'm giving the to value as the end time here. And I'm also giving each and every color that I have added there, that I have added from a collection above. So this is just to initialize some colors. Okay. So now what I have done here is in the scaffold, I have added the Syncfusion calendar widget. So as you can see here, in the container, you can see SF calendar, and I'm setting the view. So in a calendar, we have month view, week view, etc. And I'm setting the view as calendar view dot month. And in the month view settings, I'm showing the agenda. So I have to set the show agenda property as true. And then I'm setting the data source. So I'm setting the data source by calling the method meeting data source, which we have below. So once the data source has been initialized, I want to show which initial display date to be shown. So I'm using initial display date and setting snapshot.data of 0 dot from. So I'm using the first date which is in the collection. Okay, so that's it. So this is a simple representation of the calendar, and there is nothing much to show here. I'm just setting a data source and I'm setting the month view, and I'm setting the monthly settings, etc. And that's it. So this is a simple way to show a calendar. Now let us run and see the output. There you go. Now you can see that Syncfusion Calendar widget has been rendered and it has all the appointments that we have in the Google Sheets. So here it is. So let me show the sheet to you. So there you go. We have all the appointments that is listed in the sheet has been added to the Syncfusion calendar. So it is as easy as that. And the thing is, this feature will help you to import any set of appointments from Google Sheets to your calendar app. This is a very helpful feature where you can import any set of appointments to your application in real time. So here I have used Google Sheets to fetch the data using AppScript and then connecting it with Syncfusion Calendar. And here you go. This is the output. So now let's move on to the next part of the webinar. So now let's see how to create a Firestore database. If you haven't already created a Firebase project, first you have to go to the Firebase console and then click Add Project and then follow the on-screen instructions to create a Firebase project. And once you created the project, and then you can create a Firebase database. Now let's see how to create one. First, go to the Firebase console, which is console.firebase.google.com, and then create a new project. I'm going to create a new Firebase project. So I'm going to name the project as webinar demo and then click continue. It will show steps like you can connect with previous Google Analytics, etc. So I'm just enabling these options and then continue. And I'm going to choose the existing analytics that I have. So that is one of my personal Google Analytics. And then it will take a while for creating the project. So once the project is ready, click on continue. Now the project has been created. So the next thing we have to do is we have to register the Firestore project with the created Flutter app. So in the Fire Console project, click on Android icon and then follow the steps that are available there. So we have already created this webinar demo project, and then since I'm going to show the demos in Android, I'm going to configure this for Android. So let me click on this. So you have to first register the app. For that, you have to provide the package name. So what you have to do is you have to go to your Flutter app and then go to Android app build.gradle. Inside that build.gradle, you can see the application ID. This is the ID that we need to register. So I'm just copying this. And since we are going to use Firebase, the minimum SDK version should be 21. So I'm just saving that and just copying this. And I'm just pasting the name here. And you can provide any nickname that is required for the application just for your convenience to sort it out. I'm just giving webinar demo again. And if you want to sign this particular app using SHA-1 certificate, then that is also possible. But this is purely for authentication purpose. So I think I'm just going to leave it as blank as now. This is an optional field. So I'm just going to click register app. So now what we will get is we will get a download Google services. Now what we will get is we will have a Google services JSON file. So click on the download button. So go to the folder. What you have to do is you have to place this particular sheet inside the app folder. So let me drag and drop it. So you have to paste it inside the app folder. What this JSON file contains is the project infos, the project ID, the client info, and the authentication services, etc. So you need not worry about all these things at this point. This is just for configuration purpose. So once this is pasted, you have to follow the next step. So click on next. Next, what you have to do is they have provided the step-by-step procedure here itself. So now you have to go to the project level build.gradle file, and then you have to add this class path. So I'm just copying this class path here, and then I'm going to project level Gradle file. So here it is. It is the build.gradle file. And then what you have to do, you have to set this class path inside the dependencies. So I'm just going to dependencies and I'm pasting this class path. And you should also check whether you have this Google method inside the build script and all projects. So here they have provided that we can see we have to check whether we have this particular Google method. Yeah. So I have checked it is there and I'm just saving this file. Once this is done, you can then move on to the next thing. So now what you have to do is you have to go to app level build.gradle file and then you should add this Google Services plugin. So I'm just copying this and then I'm going to the app and build.gradle file and I'm just adding this plugin. So then only the app will connect with Google Services to interact with the Firebase. I'm just saving this bundle and all the other things are already available. Like as I said, apply plugin. Um, you can see com.android.application and all these things are already available. So you can just copy paste only this particular Google Services plugin and then click next. That's it. We are now ready. Now click continue to the console. So now we have a Android demo connected to this particular webinar demo project. Now we have to create a Firestore database. So create a database. And since we are going to test this, I'm not recommending production mode. Just click on test mode and then click next. You can choose any cloud location. So I'm just using US Central as of now and click enable. This might take a while. So there you go. You can see now we have created a database. So in this database, we can add a number of collections, docs, etc. But let me add that collection using Syncfusion Calendar, where we can add an appointment to this database. Now let us see how we can do that. So we have registered the app. Now let us add the required package in the pubspec.yaml file. So we have to add Firebase Core and Cloud Firestore versions. So let me add that in the pubspec.yaml file. So I'm just saving it so that it will get from pub.get. So I have copy pasted the code that I have. So what I have done here is I'm going to add, delete, and update the database. So to do that, I'm creating a app bar in which I have the option for adding an appointment, deleting an appointment, and updating an appointment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create these appointments whenever that particular button is clicked. So here it is. So I'm creating. So here you go. You can see I'm creating an event name with subject and I'm providing date format and I'm providing a start time and end time. And then I'm adding this as meeting. So this is for updating the appointment. And then I will also do the same for adding an appointment. So for adding an appointment, what I have done here is I am just inside the app bar. You can see inside the app bar, I'm using this. So once it is selected, I'm adding the database reference and inside the collection called calendar appointment collection. So a calendar appointment collection will be created inside the App Store inside the Firebase database. Inside that collection, you will be having a document called doc, and I'm naming the doc as 1, and then I'm setting these three values: subject, start time, and end time. Okay. So if I want to delete, if I click delete, I'm just deleting from the collection. So I'm just deleting from the collection, delete. And if I want to update, then I can use collection updating the doc. So all you have to do is you have to get the database reference. This is the collection name called calendar appointment collection, and then you can do accordingly. So now what I have done here is I have added a calendar. It's a simple calendar, and I have provided the data source as events. So for creating those events, I have already created this particular meeting class where it has spring as event name, date time as from, and date time as to, and color as background, and all these things, all these properties. So now let us run and see what we get. So there you go. We have a simple calendar that has been rendered here. Now let's go to the Firebase database. Now, as you can see here, I have an app bar where I have provided add, delete, and update. So first, let me add this. So once it is added to the collection, you can just refresh and see that the collection has been added here. So there you go. We are still in the webinar demo project. And then as I have shown in the application, we have created a calendar appointment collection, and there is a document called one. Inside that document, we have appointment subject, start time, and end time. Now let me show you how it updates in real time. So let me show you an update. There you go. While updating, the subject has been changed into meeting. Now, if I want to delete it, then I can delete the entire feed. So if I want to add once again, I'm just adding it. So this is so now you can see how easy it is to create a Firebase database and then connect Syncfusion Calendar widget and create any appointment, update appointment, and delete appointment dynamically. So I hope this is a useful feature that you can use in real time. I just want to quickly show what are the platforms supported in Syncfusion. Right now, we support Android, iOS, web, and desktop. And for Android, we have phone, tablet, device types, and the supported version is from API level 16 and later. And for iOS, we support iPhone, iPod, and iPad, which support versions from iOS 8 and later versions. And for web, all major browsers. And for desktop, Windows OS, Mac OS, and Linux. So the minimum Flutter SDK version that is required to render Syncfusion widgets are version 1.78. And to get started with the Syncfusion Flutter widgets, you can always go to help.syncfusion.com/flutter, where you can see the help documents to guide you through creating your widgets. Then you have all the packages available at pub.dev packages, and you can search Syncfusion and you will get all our packages. Let me give you an overview on licensing. You should provide Syncfusion license key in order to run this application, and you should pass this license register key inside it. So in the main method, you can provide Syncfusion license dot register license, and you can get the license from our Syncfusion website.
So let me show what's new in our volume 2 release. And as you can see here, our uh, our widgets are now production ready. So earlier we used to have date range picker, range selector, signature pad, and Spark Chat as a preview widget. Now it is a production ready widget. You can use it fully. And now in calendars, we have a new feature called week numbers. This will be helpful to display the week numbers of the year in months, week, and work week views. And then we also have resource header builder. So this is used to design and custom views to the resource header of timeline views. So which you can see here in timeline view, you can customize the header. You can see they have provided the image here. So this is a useful feature to show uh, user-rich appointments. And then we also have a feature for ID and recurrence ID for appointments. And in charts, we have a new interval type, which is milliseconds. So this is useful for showing very small detailed values in date and time. And you can see intervals up to milliseconds here. Then you have the floating legend. So this is the legend. You can earlier the legend used to we can place the legend either bottom, top, left, or right. But now you can keep it as a floating legend and set the X and Y position of the legend. And you also have the controlling the deselection. So you can just select a particular pie particular pie, and then you can toggle between that. So it is useful for selection and deselection. And then you also have a overfilled radial bar chart. So if something goes above the value that are mentioned, then it will show as a overfilled radial bar. So this is one such example here. And you have long press double tap for data points. And also we have calculated indicator values for fetching all the for fetching the all the data. And in data grid, we have editing feature, and you also have row hovering. So row hovering will be useful in web and desktop platforms. And you have auto fit column and rows. So since you are creating an application in Flutter, it should be applicable in all the platforms like web and desktop, right? So even if you create something in Android, the auto fit columns and rows will always take the available space in web and desktop application. And you also have a footer view. In date range pickers, we have week numbers. You can select you can see the week numbers at the left side, as you can see here. And then you have extendable range selection. So you can select a range, and you can also have extendable range selection to showcase like this. And in maps, you have legend pointer. So legend pointer is useful whenever you hover on a particular state on a map, and you can see the data. And in PDF viewer, for Mac OS platform support has been provided. Earlier, we used to have only for Android, iOS, and web. Now you have Mac OS platform support as well. And in signature file, you have on draw callback method, which is useful for getting offset at each stroke. And you have tree map layout direction, and then you can also sort in the tree map. And then you also have drill down and drill up. So you can click into a particular part of a tree map, and you can drill down and see the data, and you can also drill up to see the old data. And in PDF library, now you have support for import and export from data. As you can see, we support XFDF, FDF, XML, and JSON files. So that's all from my side with Flutter. What's new with Flutter?
So that's all for today, guys. Thank you.